Hello everyone, X-Walk Hill Bethelite here. Hope everyone enjoyed their Memorial Day. And one thing that I think about during Memorial Day is the freedoms that we have. Here in America, you have more freedoms than a lot of people have in other countries. And that's something that people fought for. And that day is just a day where we can appreciate a lot of different things. But one thing for me is the freedom to do what I want, say what I want, listen to whatever music I want, and to just have freedoms. One of those freedoms that's actually in the Constitution that a lot of people should appreciate is freedom of religion. That's something that people fought for. That's something that we should all have. The problem, and one of the reasons why there's so many videos on Jehovah's Witnesses, is that they infringe upon people's freedom to be able to worship where they want, how they want, or even if they want. In America, you should have the freedom to just not worship if you don't want to. Here's the thing. It is illegal in America for someone to take that freedom away from you, your freedom and peace of mind away from you by threatening you. I can't threaten a person. And instead of giving them the freedom to, let's say, go to whatever place of business they want to work, say, hey, if you don't work where I want you to, I'm going to threaten your life. That's not legal. McDonald's can't threaten your life if you go to Burger King. In America, you have the freedom to go wherever you want. Do what you want. Companies compete. If you don't like one company, you go to another. If a company were literally to threaten your life if you leave them, that would be un-American. The only business type structures that are allowed to threaten your life if you leave them and threaten your peace of mind and everything else are cults like Jehovah's Witnesses. If I've got Geico or I got Allstate and I don't like their service and I want to go somewhere else, I can do that with very little to no repercussions. With Jehovah's Witnesses, religion should be the same. If one religion is not very good and doing a bad job, hey, I should be able to leave that religion and go to another one if I want. Watchtower, the corporation that runs Jehovah's Witnesses, will teach its members that if you so much as step foot in another church, you're going to die. That God is going to kill you. This isn't just something that people have the freedom to believe or not believe, because people are raised in this religion. As kids, they're taught this, and they're taught that this is not an option. This isn't something that they have a choice to believe. Because Jehovah's Witnesses officially, as a teaching, teach family members turning on other family members that choose a different religion or choose not to believe that one, or doesn't do what that religion tells them to do. This isn't something that people just have a choice to worship if they want, how they want, which is the way it should be. Watchtower teaches that all the other religions are, and the people that are a part of them, are going to be killed by God. That's a religious teaching, and a religious teaching is a very real thing to a lot of people. That is a real threat. There are, I don't know, 1 billion people who are religious. So this is a threat. A religious threat is a real one to a lot of people. There are some people that if they're a person in power or authority, their pastor or what have you, tells them to do something, they will most likely do it because they're fearful of repercussions coming from a divine source. This is something that literally affects people's peace of mind. Jehovah's Witnesses purposefully put people under about as much duress as humanly possible. What they do is say, hey, if you leave our religion, God will for sure kill you. At this apocalyptic event. And the religion knows that some people won't believe that. They'll exercise their American freedom to go somewhere else or not go if they want to. Okay, well, Watchtower's got that covered too. If you don't believe us when we say God is going to kill you, and that's not enough to threaten you to keep you as a part of our religion, well, we will teach as an official doctrine of this church that if you leave us, your family members and friends will all no longer speak to you, because even if you don't believe our religious teachings, they will believe us. Somebody's going to believe us in your family, and they'll think that if they speak to you when we tell them not to, they're going to be killed by God. So Watchtower purposefully goes against people's religious freedoms. And it's a big enough deal that people have started making and have been making videos about this religion. If you just look up Jehovah's Witnesses on YouTube, you will not, in a week's time, be physically capable of watching all of the videos from all of the people who have had extremely negative experiences with Jehovah's Witnesses. All you've got to do is just type in YouTube Jehovah's Witnesses, and you'll get 100,000 negative experiences and maybe one good one. It's that bad. Now, in America, if people are having bad experiences with any business, church, neighborhood, whatever, we should have the freedoms, according to our Constitution, to just leave and go somewhere else and not be threatened and not be harassed. Watchtower specifically violates that right, violates that freedom, and say we're going to make it a religious teaching that God is going to kill you if you leave us, so you don't get the choice to worship where you want, because if you try to worship anywhere you want, you're going to die in an apocalyptic event. And if you don't believe that, you don't believe the teachings, you think it's baloney, your family believes it and will use them against you. And we will literally tell them not to speak to you ever again. I've got relatives that probably haven't spoken and or had a meaningful relationship in decades because of this teaching. It's a real thing. It's a very real thing. So when you see videos like this or others, or you see people protesting Jehovah's Witnesses, it's not what you think. They're not infringing upon the religious rights of others. We're all more than happy to let Jehovah's Witnesses worship however they want, when they want, where they want, as long as they aren't infringing upon the rights of others, as long as they aren't teaching that everybody that leaves them must be harassed. It is nonstop harassment to not be able to speak to a direct relative, or it is harassment to be kept away from your kids. Because if church teaches that you are going to die in an apocalyptic event, obviously your spouse or your ex is not going to want that kid around you. Those teachings have a lot of different implications. So it's hard for people to let go of something and just stop making videos about Jehovah's Witnesses when Jehovah's Witnesses teach to harass people and affect their peace of mind for their entire lives. There's no time limit on that teaching that Jehovah's Witnesses have about blacklisting certain people if they decide not to go to church there, or if they decide not to go to meetings there. They're so anti-church, Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word church. Because to them, they don't think people should have the freedom to go to another church, because Watchtower tells them if they do, they're going to die. That's why people are protesting Watchtower. If Watchtower would simply not bother people who did not want to go to their church, they wouldn't get bothered themselves. And it's interesting because it's actually a Christian concept to do on to others as you would want them to do on to you. So if you have Jehovah's Witnesses harassing people because they don't want to go to their church, let's just give them, okay, they've got the freedom to go wake everybody up, knocking on their doors, trying to give them magazines from their church and try to convert them to their church and all of that. It takes it a step or two too far to then just start, hey, we'll just start breaking up families and harassing people and having elders come by people's house if they don't want to go to church there anymore, and call them on their phones and tell their friends and family not to speak to them anymore. This goes well beyond anything that is Christian. They take it a step well beyond anything that is Christian. So in America, we should have the freedom to worship where we want, go where we want. If a church is causing so much problems, the church would fail. In an American system, a church that is causing a lot of problems to the point where people are making videos and protesting, that church would fail because people would simply just leave. Their experience there is so bad, everyone would just leave, and the church would fail, and there would be no more Jehovah's Witnesses. Watchtower is aware of that. That's why they teach everybody, hey, if you leave us, you're going to die. And as a matter of fact, you can't even speak to another relative of yours or friend if they leave us. Otherwise, if it wasn't for that teaching, Watchtower's failed predictions and the child sex abuse and everything else, it would it would collapse. But they use other people's faith. They use the fact that people feel that God is a real thing, and threatening that God is going to kill them is a real threat to a person that feels that God is a real thing. Just like if I hold up a gun to your head and say, hey, I'm going to shoot you, that's going to cause a lot of duress. That's going to cause you to panic. It's illegal. It's illegal for a reason. Guess what? What if my gun isn't real? Some people don't believe that threat to be real. What if my gun isn't real? You not knowing that it's real means you're going to have the same reaction as if the gun was real. So some of you will say, hey, well, that teaching isn't real. So, well, but the Jehovah's Witness doesn't know the teaching that if they leave Watchtower because they hate it, they're going to die. They don't know that that teaching isn't real. To them, it's just the same as somebody holding a gun up to their head saying, hey, if you don't give me this money, I'm going to shoot you. The gun's not real. They could be using a toy gun, but if you don't know the gun is real, you're reaching in your pockets, pulling out your wallet and handing it to the person because you think that's a real threat. That's the same with Jehovah's Witnesses. They think it's a real threat. And so that's why they are trapped inside Watchtower. They can't speak against it. They think that they'll die if they speak against it. They're trapped in a religion that is holding people against their will, harassing people that don't want to be there. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. X-Wall Kill Bethelite is signing out.